At some point today, I Googled SpaceX just to see what it's doing, and below all the stuff, it'll have a whole bunch of tweets and stuff like they're important. And this one showed up. Albert Onestone. Trust me, this was the last dip. No more chance for cowards for lower price. Rocket, rocket, rocket. Then I guess he replied to himself, you just need to believe in Elon Musk. I'm like, well, Albert Onestone, he must be somebody pretty important. Who the hell is he? Evidently, Albert Onestone pretty much just nobody. I don't know. I have any idea why Google chose to put his stuff up on there. But that post from him was 10 hours ago, right? And then 8 hours ago, he posted, WTF, I said pump to 220 USD. I need my fucking RMK 50K. That's like $12,000 in Malaysian money, so he's like outside the United States. Why are you dumping? Pump to 220. I want to sell all and get back my RMK 50K, $12,000. Then you can go ahead and dump the whole SpaceX stock. Actually, this is what somebody else posted, and he replied to it. You're very chicken. You need to keep it 10 plus years. It'll multiply by 100 and get stock split like Tesla last time. So, okay, I don't know where Albert Onestone is, but for some reason, he was important enough to put in there. So I was wondering, what will it take to get it from 112 to 220? And I got a pretty good answer. So it says, to push the stock price from 112 to 220, the market cap has to go up almost a $1.5 trillion, which it did when it first was unveiled. But there's some important factors here. Okay, first of all, we don't need to pump $1.5 trillion in it to get it there. Okay, we need to pump in about a quarter of a trillion. 250 to 300 billion would do it, and that would get the price up to 220. So retail needs to get it, just go, let's dump a bunch of money into SpaceX. But here's the problem. Here's the big problem that we're going to start seeing all through August, September, October, November, and December. Only about 45% of the shares are out there in the public float. So it's a highly volatile, low float stock. And that's about to change, because the vast majority of shares are locked up and they're about to be unlocked between now and Christmas, a little bit at a time, which means it's going to be harder and harder to get this thing to go to 220 without some sort of major catalyst. Like, I'm not even going to guess, okay, but SpaceX and Grok and whatever else they've rolled into SpaceX would have to, I guess, the satellite stuff, Starlink, would have to do some major stuff in order to ramp up, interest enough to start dumping more than this in there, because the more stock these insiders are unlocked and allowed to trade, the higher this number goes, and the higher you've got to, the more money you got to put into it. So the odds of it going back to 220 between now and January, pretty slim. As a matter of fact, they should be going the other direction, because as these people get unlocked that have worked there 1, 5, 10 years and been paid in stock, this is their opportunity to get their money. Okay, and I'm sure they're looking at this going, I don't think it'll ever get back to 220 in my lifetime. People are talking about, there's so many comments about this stock because people are stuck, they're bag holders. Okay, they bought the stuff above 150 and they're going to have it the rest of their lives, or else they're just going to have to cut their losses. Okay, and so you've got to look at it from that point of view. As this stuff comes out and the price starts going down, more and more people are going to dump it, not just the insiders looking to get their retirement fund, okay, because it may never go back up to 220 in their lifetime, but also the people that bought it above 150 are looking at it, and as this starts dumping below $110 a share, I think it's going to go down, down, down. You're going to have more and more selling pressure from people on the inside going, that's my retirement there. That's my retirement there. I better go get it now while I can get it, or else I can gamble my retirement. I mean, for all practical purposes, if you work at SpaceX and we're given all these shares, that's your 401k, man. It's just sitting there, and you've got to decide, am I going to hold it? Now, how old is the average SpaceX person? Every time I look at them, they're like, not really old, but, that also means they're like, oh, I want my money now. I got a life to live. So, I think we're going to see a lot of stock getting dumped. Let's see what else it says. It says that, right now it's $112, right? So you're trying to get it to 220. It says it's already at a very steep valuation of over 80 times trailing sales. To put that in perspective, normally companies are traded at 20 to 30 times that, okay, not 80, which means this thing has a lot of room to go down. A lot of room to go down, almost to 1/3 of the current price. So, you know, if you're at 112 divided by 3, you're in the low 40, you're in the high $30 a share range. And when people start dumping this, yeah, that's why I said the best thing to do is wait for this, wait for the stock to get down below $15. If you want to gamble on it going up, wait for it to drop below $15 between now and January 1st, because along with all kinds of other political things happening, this, that, and the other, and other economic stuff, this stuff's going below $15, man. I think it's going to do it. They've got it. One place has a 12-month target of $800 a share. There is no friggin' way SpaceX is going to $800 a share in the next 12 months. It's impossible. What's more likely is it goes to about $14 a share, which is a pretty good buy-in point if you want to hold it for a while and see if it starts regaining. Because, you know, if it can go back up to 70, 80, 90 bucks from 14, that's pretty good. And then these people will still be bag holding that stuff, and they'll start dumping out as it starts climbing back up from 15. You know, when it hits 50 and 60, they'll all be dumping out, which is going to set the new low price point, which is what needs to happen, because you have to remember, Musk is holding, you know, authorized shares. He's got enough to dump twice as much stock out there at some point, okay? And he would do that to fund, you know, the building of data centers, the building of whatever. And you're talking about, he would want, you know, $500 billion for this, $250 billion for that. But you go to the institutional investors, and they're going to be like, I ain't giving you $130 a share, okay? Because you're going to put twice as much stock out there, so it's going to be worth half as much. So if it's trading at like $100, that means it would be 50, right? But it won't be 100; it'll be less than that. And so, although retail is trading it at 100 or 90 or 80, when he sells a bunch of stock at $40 a share to a bunch of people and doubles the amount out there, that means it's worth $40 a share. And then it's going to trade from there, and it's going to dump down real hard and then come back up. And I see them doing that probably between now and Christmas, when he's got to fund a whole bunch of, you know, infrastructure in 2027. Yeah, this thing's a dog. They really scammed the public on this one, man. But if you read their, you know, their S1 perspective before you bought, you knew not to buy this crap.